Welcome in, everybody. It is week one of the NFL season, and it is also Tuesday night, which means one thing and one thing only here on the Going for Two Live Network. It is time for the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Before I introduce all the guys, we got to play the video, baby. Let's get this season started.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, the four members of the cast this year, me, Jamie, Jordan, and Rahul. What is up, guys, and how's it going?
What is up, man? We're finally back. Mike, man, we talk all the time, but it's great to be on our first show back together since last season. Jordan, always a pleasure, man. Been way too long since we've argued about Daniel Jones, and actually might get to do that tonight. And Rahul, obviously, my fellow co-host over at Dynasty Six Pack. Every Wednesday night, we've been talking all off season, so let's get this thing going.
Yeah, I missed that intro, man. It's good to be back talking football with you guys. The season's here. It's time to get started. And yeah, Jamie, we're definitely going to probably fight it out a little bit over Daniel Jones tonight, for sure.
Like always.
What's up, gang? Glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Mike, Jordan, and of course, Jamie. Very excited. It does, man. I said this morning that it's week one, and just like a chill went through my body. Just something felt different in the air, man. We are doing projections, rankings, and I'm just like, where did all the time go? But I'm very excited to be on the show with you guys. I think it's gonna be a great season.
All right. So Rahul, on your guys' other show, you see me in the comments, but so you'll understand where I'm going with this. Jordan, you know what I have missed for 6 months?
What's that?
Telling this guy next to me he's wrong. Because I know there are going to be times in the next few months that I get to tell him he's wrong, even with opinions. And guess what? After listening back to last year's show for week one and then seeing what he put on the show sheet tonight, it ain't going to take long.
It's not going to take long at all.
It's not going to take long. But before that, let's get going. Let's get into some news. The news that we're going to get into, everyone, is stuff that's not being brought up on the show sheet. There's a couple of little bits and pieces of info with news that I'm going to hold off on until we get to that topic on the news. That's just a little disclaimer I wanted to bring up. All right, so first off, let's talk about a running back room that I'm not happy about. First off, Jaylen Warren gets a 2-year deal, and the Pittsburgh Steelers came out with their depth chart. Jaylen Warren, Kenny Gainwell, then Caleb Johnson. So I decided to throw this a little bit different because we are the cheat sheet, and it shows, the cheat sheet, school, however you want to call it. I want you to give this news a grade F through A on how much you care about this news and how much this is fantasy relevant. Jamie, go.
I give it a Z because I don't care, man. You know it's going to be a split between Caleb and Jaylen Warren. That's all I got to say.
I agree. F, I don't buy it at all. Who cares? It's definitely going to be Caleb and Jaylen Warren.
What's up, boss?
Yeah. F as well for me. I mean, depth chart is one thing. Tend not to trust the depth chart this time of year. Jaylen Warren, I think that's a guy that, a lot of people in the fantasy space have really been trying to make a thing for years and years. And I think he's just going to go down as a guy that's, good for an NFL team, not very relevant for fantasy. I think it's just going to make we might have to sleep on Caleb Johnson for maybe a week or two more, but I think he's still going to be a strong name down the stretch. So F for me, not very fantasy relevant, I think.
All right, I'm giving this dang thing a C. And the only reason I'm giving it a C is my fantasy shares of Caleb Johnson and the amount of leagues that I had a rough team, and he's the starter, like the best running back on the team. I need it. Jamie knows about a team that had 5 freaking starting wide receivers last year, and Kenyon Gainwell was one of my best running backs. So that team has Caleb Johnson on it this year. But like you guys said, give it 2 weeks, it'll work his way out. I just think this just proves that Jaylen Warren is not gone because of the 2-year deal. That's all that means to me. Instead of Caleb maybe eating into a lot of it, that's not going to happen.
Definitely not going to happen early on, but I would imagine he's going to eat a little bit more into it as the season.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so a little bit of news out of Tennessee, and it's not super relevant, but I know I'm going to butcher this name. Alec Iomanor has been named on the starting depth chart over – someone please help me. I blanked.
Van Jefferson, perhaps?
And Jefferson. So he is third on the depth chart behind Tyler Lockett and Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you guys want to say about this, or is this just wait and see?
I honestly think Iomanor has kind of entered last round of redraft range where I wouldn't mind taking a flyer just to be ahead of like that week 1 waiver. It's not a guy I was too high on coming out of college into the draft process. Of course, our Canadian brother Kyle Senra had a little bit of bias, so I heard his name a little more than I probably would have otherwise.
It's because he's Canadian. Of course he has bias.
Of course he is. So it's something maybe we get a little more interested in Dynasty. Doesn't affect too much for my redraft ranks. I'm sure as we get to know each other, get to know our takes a little bit better, y'all know that I've been a big Cam Ward guy for a minute, but I struggle to see him making a meaningful impact in 2025.
Yeah, I thought Iomanor was pretty talented coming into the draft. I thought he was going to go like end of the second round. He ended up falling. So I know he's got the talent. So I kind of like this news. I think you should stash him while you can.
Awesome.
For sure. I agree.
Cool. All right. So there is one more piece of news, and this is more of a joke between me and Jamie, but I have to bring it up. Jordan knows where I'm going with this.
Yes.
There has been a new wide receiver signed in the NFL, and his name is Gabe frickin' Davis.
That's so irrelevant. I didn't even hear that.
Gabe Davis got signed by the Buffalo Bills.
He's back with the Bills. Oh, my God. Wow. Everyone better go pick him up. Yeah, go run the waiver wire.
Picked him up in every league you're in 2 years ago, and you can't deny it. We got the receipts.
Yeah. Well, it was only for that 1 week, I think, wasn't it?
Well, the week that made him all that money was in the playoffs against the Chiefs, where he had like 200-something yards. I'm still bitter.
I'm still bitter that I bought into him like a fool the following season after that big breakout, and it just never amounted to what we thought it would be. He's been cut multiple times, and I'm not falling for this. I don't care. If he was the only receiver on the depth chart, I wasn't not falling for it this time.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Does anyone have anything else they want to bring up before we get into the meat and potatoes of this episode?
Nope.
I'm hungry. Let's get
this going. All right. So when I led into this episode, I said I was going to tell someone he's wrong. Well, I'm going to start now. And I just hinted at it a little bit ago. Last episode or last season, someone in his first topic of the year said Rachaad White was going to be a top 5 running back in the first week, and he was going to be the running back you wanted to have on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this same person is talking about a different Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Take it away, Jamie.
Yeah, Mika Ibuka, man, to the moon. I'm telling you guys, like with Godwin out, especially for the start of the season, Ibuka's going to step right into that role. Last year, in the first 6 weeks last year, Godwin led all wide receivers as a wide receiver 1 overall before going down with injuries. When Godwin does return, Ibuka could slide into that McMillan role. In McMillan's last 5 games last season, he averaged 19.02 points finished between wide receiver 9 and 19 each week in those 5 games. That proves right there that Ibuka could still deliver strong production, even with splitting targets later in the season. But as of right now, on top of that, Ibuka, you got to remember, he owns the Ohio State record for receptions and yards. And he did that playing with stars like Marvin Harrison Jr., Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, JSN, Jeremiah Smith. So I'm telling you, lock it in now. Ibuka is a future fantasy superstar.
You want it, Jordan?
That he's going to be matchup proof, and he's just going to erupt and be a league-winning production this season and beyond, but it's going to start week 1.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jamie. I think, sometimes I'm typically hesitant to kind of go all in on rookies in their first games. But when you think about McMillan being out, think about Godwin being out. I mean, Cade Otton for sure for week 1, he may get some extra looks. And the 2 games last year, I know it's hard to kind of gauge everything off last year. Teams are different, but the Bucks and the Falcons, man, they had shootouts. And I would imagine that, they'll be throwing it around, and Ibuka he's talented, and he showed that connection throughout the preseason. So for week 1, for sure, I would start him, depending on what your options are, obviously. And then moving forward, Godwin, who knows when he'll be back 100%, McMillan as well. So once he settles in, gets his footing, and takes off, and he builds that chemistry with Baker, it doesn't matter if those guys come back or not. He'll already kind of cemented himself in the rotation, and he'll be a serviceable starter for the rest of the season. It all depends on how these first couple of games go, but I definitely think he'll blast off in week 1.
Yeah, completely agree here. Just one added point: the Falcons D heading into the season ranks 29th from the experts. So I do completely buy the shootout vibe from this Falcons Bucks game. Play a little bit of devil's advocate. 2 things that I am watching for in week 1. One, how much will the Tristan Wirfs injury affect the O-line play for the Bucks? That is a critical piece. He's only out for a few weeks to start the year, but we'll have to see how that plays out. The second, Baker Mayfield, I am expecting a little bit of a regression in 2025. He had a 7% touchdown to pass attempt ratio in 2024, by far his career best, when the league average mark is usually 4 to 4.5%. How much will Baker step back? We don't know, but I think especially in week 1, when it's going to be a very consolidated target share, I do completely buy in on Emeka Egbuka being a strong start, even in his first ever professional game. So I'm right there with you, Jamie.
I know you mentioned Baker taking a step back, but that doesn't matter because we've seen bad quarterbacks give wide receiver 1s and 2s great production.
I mean, everyone's point's good on this, but Jordan, you want to discuss a team that's been bad for a few years, talking about bad, but this is an intriguing topic. You've always liked talking about this position. I knew you were going to with a couple, so go for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this Jets offense in week 1, but overall throughout the season. Obviously, Justin Fields coming in replacing Rodgers, and the Jets have a new coaching staff. I want to see, the Fields also. I just want to say Fields didn't look good in the preseason at all, so that was alarming. However, Aaron Glenn is talking about they want to focus on the run. That's a good thing if you have Breece Hall, but then he's talking about a committee. So I'm interested to see how that offense kind of operates. There are not many weapons outside of Garrett Wilson that you can count on consistently. I mean, that may open up targets, Mason Taylor, and some of the other guys, but I'm expecting, them to be run heavy. I'm expecting Braylon Allen to provide some value, getting more work this year, particularly that goal line work. You got to worry about Fields taking some of that as well from those guys. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on how do you see this offense going? Because I see it, obviously, like I said, focus on the run. Worried about the pass volume just because of Fields and the offense and what they've talked about. So outside of Garrett Wilson, may not be enough volume to support anybody else in the passing game. But I've gotten Brees Hall kind of late in a couple of drafts, so I feel like he can still provide good value. But I'm worried about his timeshare with Allen. Even though he's going into kind of a contract year, the Jets didn't show that they believe in him at this point, so that may factor into maybe they try to run him in the ground and then let him walk, or that would be my hope as someone who has a couple of shares of him. But I just want to get you guys' thoughts on the Jets offense and how you see this kind of playing out in the early going and then throughout the season.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I have been on record fading Brees Hall for a couple months now, but like you just said, Jordan, his ADP has kind of reached that palatable stage where it's all right. Like, might be all upside here when it's a 5th round Brees Hall, but I do completely see this as a committee, not just from the preseason, but really the words of the coaching staff all off season. It is the ex-Lions staff, and we kind of know what their run game has been about for the last couple of years. And Braylon Allen, maybe a little simplistic to say, but kind of fits that Monty role to a T with his physique. The interesting part is in preseason, Braylon Allen came in on 3rd downs. He came in on short yardage. We probably were expecting the latter. Wasn't really expecting the former, and that also came with Isaiah Davis missing some time. So it could even be a 3rd back in there just to muddy it up. Brees Hall's production historically has really been boosted by those targets. He was 1st and 4th in running back receptions over the last 2 years, and now coming with Fields. There's some stats out there that kind of support that Fields checks down the ball down a lot, but the eye test kind of pulls me away from that. So I think it's going to be very interesting. If I had to pick a direction, I'm going to be out on Brees Hall this year.
All right, so let me bring this up real quick, and then I'll take my take, because this is his take. Fields is top 5 QB upside for fantasy. Sucks for NFL. Yes, that's the guy next to me that put that. Okay. So he put that because this is not his topic to talk about, so he needed to get his word in, so I let him. All right. Rahul, get out of my head. When you brought up the Monty situation, that's exactly the thing. Here's the thing. You brought up, what was it, 1st and 4th in receptions, and then the eye test.
Mm-hmm.
I'll back you up in saying, yeah, the stats are there, but the other thing is I don't see, yes, he likes to check down, but the volume of the amount of his passing is going to be less, which means the volume, even percentage, the volume of his checkdowns to Brees Hall would be less. And I know Jamie knows exactly where I'm going on this after 2 drafts that I've sent him in the past 2 days. You know, the other reason that the check down percentage is going to go? Because his snap percentage is going to go down, Jordan. I am sorry. I understand his ADP is going to an area where it's palatable now. I wasn't taking him a month ago. Would I take him now? Yes. But in the past 2 weeks, I have drafted more Braylon Allen than I have drafted in any other time of the year. I drafted him twice this weekend. I am perfectly fine with it. I'm not drafting him, obviously, as like number 2 running back, but I am definitely drafting him. I got him, Jamie, I think in that one, I think I got him like round 12 in a 12-man or 11 in a 12-man. Like, I got him in a spot. Someone was like, who's that? And I'm like, well, obviously, you don't know the depth chart because you think Brees Hall, and you just go for it. But overall, yes, I think Brees has a chance to be okay, but I do think Braylon Allen's going to eat into it. I do think, like Rahul brought up, I do think this is going to be, he does can play the Monty role. So because of Aaron Glenn, I do think it's going to be, obviously it's not going to be Sonic and Knuckles, but I could see a poor man Sonic and Knuckles to the sense of, and later on, the biggest problem is, just like Philadelphia, once you get to the 3-yard line, you got to be worried about the quarterback. So he's going to take all those away. So that is my main concern. Well, Rahul, we just talked about running backs. Now it's time for you to talk about wide receivers.
It is, but let me actually take us first to the other side of the ball to a fake football fan like myself. I usually know the defensive players as this nameless mass called the DST. But in the football world, there was a pretty significant trade in the last 7 days with Micah Parsons
I
going
didn't want to
over.
bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up because I don't want someone next to you gloat as a Packers fan. You had to deal with Kyle. Now you got to deal with him.
That's true, but I've got a great stat related to Micah Parsons. Over the last 4 years, the Cowboys are the league's best defense with Micah Parsons on the field by EPA per play. This is across 1,000 play sample. They are also the league's second worst defense over that same stretch by EPA per play when Parsons is not on the field. Now, Micah Parsons is not a Dallas Cowboy any longer, so how bad is this defense actually going to be? Pretty bad is what I would bet, and that ties into where I want to go with this Cowboys pass game with the wide receivers. Of course, the offseason acquisition of George Pickens, I think, makes this the best wide receiver core out in Dallas in quite some time, probably since the Amari Cooper and a very young CeeDee Lamb days, but I think it could even be better now because I just think that CeeDee Lamb, the work that he does from the slot over the middle of the field, is complemented very well by what George Pickens is going to do running deep. Dak has had 4 seasons above 20 fantasy points per game in the last 6 years, and I think this is prime for him to bounce back in the year that they're gonna have to sling the ball quite early and quite often as they try to keep up with all these teams that are going to wreak havoc on their defenses. So I'm all the way invested on this Cowboys pass game. There might be some late season dysfunction. I don't know how the vibe, but I think really to kick off the year, I'm going to be ranking CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, especially very aggressively against consensus. So curious what you guys think about the Dallas Cowboys this year.
All right, so I'm going to keep it short so I can let this guy go next to me. Because I am all in on this freaking offense. I was all in on this offense before the trade. Pickens, CD. I mentioned to you guys this new league that I joined that I'm drafting tomorrow. Jamie, I bumped Dak up 2 spots. Not 1, but 2.
Told you.
With the 300-yard freaking 300-yard games and touchdowns only in this league. I just think that they're not. Come on, no one's bringing it up on the show, so I'm going to bring it up. Javonte Williams might be the best running back. I hate to bring up old wounds, Jordan, but this sounds like an offense like 2 years ago that me and you were all in on in the running game. Tony Pollard. So all I'm going to say is you got to be in on this passing game. It's the running game that's going to stink. You know what this is going to remind me of if the Cowboys stink it up? And then I'll pass it right on to you, Jamie. Is this Blake Bortles and the Jacksonville Jaguars when it was just garbage time? He's going to be throwing the ball 50 times a game. And guess what? He's got better wide receivers than Blake Bortles had. He's a better quarterback. He just doesn't have a good team. And to add a little salt to the wound, he doesn't have a good owner. Jamie, take it away.
You guys said almost everything that I was about to say, to the T. I don't disagree with anything, but I do want to add that they also have Jake Ferguson. Neither of you mentioned Jake Ferguson.
I did it on purpose.
Sneaky targets. He could be easily in that top 12, and we're not even really putting him in that top 10, top 12 area. Also, Javonte Williams. I mean, the run game is going to just be non-existent. But Javonte Williams, he was the number 2 target in Denver last year on that team behind Cortland Sutton with 70-plus receptions or targets. But anyway, I could see him just putting a little bit of his into the passing game. Lamb, I could see him outscoring Chase this year. I took him at the 102 this year. Obviously, Chase went number 1. I took Lamb 102, and I'm not mad at it.
All right. So for mine, I am talking about the Great Northwest and the Seattle Seahawks. I just want to talk about their overall offense real quick in the sense of, yes, they brought in Sam Darnold. Yes, they brought in Cooper Kupp. They still got KW9. They still got Zach Charbonnet and JSN. But I don't think Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp are the biggest additions to this offense. The biggest addition to this offense is offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Even though they had a decent offense last year with Geno and everything else, they fired Ryan Grubb after only one season because you have a defensive-minded coach, and they ran the ball more, or they threw the ball more than he wanted to, even though they didn't have an outlandish pass-to-run ratio. So they're going to throw the ball like crazy, or not run the ball like crazy, the opposite of the Cowboys. If KW can stay healthy, if KW9 can stay healthy, he is going to be perfectly fine. I drafted him in a couple spots. I have him on one or two dynasty teams. JSN, even though I do know they're going to run the ball a lot, I absolutely love JSN this year. I think he is to the moon in dynasty. It might be to the point where his value is almost at maxed out, and I don't want to trade for him because people want everything for him now. I am a little worried about Cooper Kupp, but I'm not as worried due to the fact that I think they're going to run the ball enough. So I'm out on Cooper Kupp this year unless you have him in dynasty, and it's probably a hold. But overall, I do think they're going to win some games. It's just going to be it's not going to be the fancy high level offense. It's going to be more grinded out, but that's what this offense is going to be. And Sam Darnold is going to have to go back to the game management type, and that's exactly what he does. Jordan.
Yeah, man, I agree. I've been in on Ken Walker this offseason. Just, anytime you get a new offensive coordinator and their tendencies, you kind of hope that it kind of pays off for the guys that are on the new team. So I feel like him and Charbonnet, they're both gonna, obviously split work and be productive in that work. I don't trust Sam Darnold now that he's not with Kevin O'Connell anymore. I'm worried that he won't be as successful in the passing game, but I still love JSN. I like him as a player, as a talent. And with this offense, I think he can be good, but I don't know about any other weapons being supported in the passing game consistently. But give me Walker where he's being drafted at. Give me Charbonnet later, and I'm all full speed ahead with the running backs and then JSN. But I like me some Elijah Arroyo too for some reason late in drafts at tight end. Noah Fant being gone and everything, but. I've been staying away from Cooper Kupp. Maybe that's not wise of me, but that's what I've been doing.
Jamie, real quick, do you have the same sentiment as me and Jordan on Cooper Kupp? And then give your quick take.
Yeah, dusty old Cooper Kupp. He's not even close to what he was when he had his triple crown. I'm completely out on him. It doesn't make sense that they brought him in because he's the same exact type of player JSN is. What the heck are you doing? But as for that offense that they're running, it is that zone run scheme, and it fits Kenneth Walker so well that I think he is being way undervalued. People are like, well, his injury history. What injury history, man? He missed 2 games with an oblique, right? And then he missed 2 games with an ankle sprain. All right. I mean, then a calf injury. Like you can't predict that stuff, and it's healed. It's not even a major injury. It's like not even like a medium injury. It's a low risk injury. So you might miss a couple games here and there. But Arroyo, Jordan mentioned, dude is a dog. As soon as he catches that ball, he's not one of those guys that dance around and tries to get extra yards that way. No, he goes straight forward, runs into you, drags you about 5 yards, and it takes 2 to 3 people to take him down.
So, Jamie, here's the number one question before you continue on Arroyo. What's his athletic score?
Yes, I was waiting for it. Yes.
Well, I don't know. What is it? Is it bad?
No, we're asking you. You have to know his Raz. You have to.
Yeah,
Kyle in the chat will probably know his Raz better than I would. I just know his.
Rahul's already looking it up.
I know
you
it's tendencies. I
normally
know he's a
spout those
dog. The only concern is his injury history. So, and his play style doesn't help it. So you got to be cautious. But there is AJ Barner behind him. I know for a fact AJ Barner was the number 2 rookie behind Brock Bowers last year for touchdowns. I know it wasn't a lot, 3. Well, Bowers only had 4, but still, for rookies, he was still got 3 touchdowns. That's not bad. Darnold, I'm out on Darnold, man. The only person in that passing game that I really, really want is JSN.
All right, so you did 2 things. You did 2 things in this take that are typical Jamie. Okay, one, bring up an athletic freak of a tight end, and I don't know if you did this or not on purpose. I know you didn't, but remember how I told you I went back and watched last year's first episode?
Yeah.
The first player that I don't remember who it was now, but the first player that you made fun of last year, you call them old and dusty. And now you just called Cooper Kupp old and dusty. No joke. So now, instead of talking about old and dusty, Jamie, we're going to talk about another room that we talked about last year, but totally different players. What wide receiver room are we talking about, and who are we talking about?
Okay, we're going to be talking about the Jaguars wide receiver splits. So right now, it just came out. Travis Hunter is listed as a wide receiver and backup DB. We all knew that. No big news. We also knew the upside of Brian Thomas Jr. Like he's explosive, he's dynamic, he's going to make plays. But the real question heading into the season is Travis Hunter's role and how the Jags plan to split his snaps between wide receiver and defensive back. Like the truth is, I don't think we're going to be able to predict his usage on a weekly basis, like on either side of the ball. His snap count could swing depending on game script, matchup, overall flow of the game. It could change. What we do know is Hunter's versatility is both a weapon for Jacksonville's team and it's going to be a headache for our fantasy managers. 1 week he could be heavily involved in offense. The next he might be playing more snaps on defense. The bottom line, like BTJ is going to be a must start, obviously. Hunter, he's more that boom or bust option, but you can't be mad when he doesn't put up points. But until we see a consistent pattern in his usage, it's going to be hard to start him. But there's a sneaky wide receiver on that Jags team nobody's talking about except me, and that's Dyami Brown. So last season, he started earning like almost like a near full-time role in that offense. What team was he on? Washington Commanders. Yes. And he had back-to-back games of 16 and 20 fantasy points. Like I've been taking some chances on him and best balls late, grabbing him 17th, 18th round. My last picks, I got a 26 exposure to him just because he's almost free and he could be a sneaky number 2 receiver while Hunter is on the other side of the ball. He's definitely a name to watch. If his snap share continues to rise, he could turn into a valuable waiver wire pickup at some point in the season.
Yeah, I agree, man. I'm worried about Travis Hunter, and where he's going in some drafts. I feel like it's too hard for someone that you don't exactly know where they're going to use him at and to what degree they're going to use him. If he's too good on defense, what does that do for him offensively or whatever? If he, I would hope that he's leaning more towards receiver, but we don't know that yet. So that's just the uncertainty with that. Dyami Brown, he hasn't been on my radar at all, Jamie. Like talking about, I've seen him and kind of glossed over him, but when you think about Hunter's uncertainties, somebody has to be on the field when he's not, and that's going to be Brown. Late in drafts, I've found myself looking at Brenton Strange a little bit just because when he filled in for Evan Ingram, he had some games. He only had like one big game, but the targets were there for him, and I think that could be the case again this year. Brian Thomas Jr., a stud, no qualms about him at all. But I just want to see how that works with Hunter. Are they going to ease him in defensively so then he'll play more offensive snaps in the beginning? And then when he gets that, I don't know, but we'll see. I'm not taking him in some of the drafts as high as he's been going because I can't have a halftime player as like my wide receiver too. So, but we'll see how it works out. Maybe later in the season he provides more of a consistent floor, but as of now, I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr., maybe Brenton Strange late, and I'm going to have De'Ami Brown on my radar now.
Yeah, I love how you brought up Strange. I didn't bring him up because I was just strictly doing the receivers, but he is a sneaky guy. I got so much of him too. Late in draft, he's going around like Hunter Henry within around the 20th overall tight end range, which is insane. So, and I just want to say we are talking non-IDP leagues for Hunter.
That's obvious. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm done. For people that didn't see what happened in the background of this show, I told Jordan to go first. Okay, I let Rahul go first. Rahul happened to be an accident because we're just getting on the same page, being on the show together for the first time. Jordan, I should have known this. Me and you have been on so many shows. I should have known that we were both going to want to talk about a tight end from Jacksonville. I should have known this. I should have known that I was going to bring up Brenton Strange and you were going to trump me to it. So guess what? That is my take. Brenton Strange, I get it. Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown. But there is so much being said about Travis Hunter that you can go to every news, every media outlet, everyone is going to be. But, Jamie, I get why you brought him up because of the news that came out today. I know you were going to talk about him anyway, but the news that came out today, and I know your brain is also an IDP land like mine. We're trying to figure out the splits, trying to figure out what to do with them. But I even have a league that Brenton Strange is my number one tight end. Because I went Brenton and then I went deep. I got Brenton, I got Chig, and I got Juwan. And those are my three tight ends. I'm just going to play with it and see what happens. But, Jordan, you want to talk about another passing game in the same division? It's got to be nasty if it's the same division.
It has the potential to be really great because we've seen it before. But I wanted to talk about the Texans passing game. CJ Stroud, I'm personally expecting more of a bounce back season from him. I'm worried about, them trading Laramie Tunsil away and the offensive line because that caused problems for him last year. Obviously, Mixon being on IR to start the season, the running game. We were talking about the Cowboys running game. We got a old and dusty Nick Chubb coming off of 1,000 surgeries with, Woody Marks, a passing specialist, and then Damian Pierce, who the Texans obviously do not like that much. So the running game might get a little spooky, but Nico Collins is back and healthy. He's a stud. Obviously, when he's on the field, that makes things easier for Stroud. I'm loving me some Christian Kirk late in drafts right now while he's still upright and being that possession guy. New offensive coordinator for them, up-tempo pass game, looking to get the ball out quicker. That may help Dalton Schultz, but that's why I feel like Christian Kirk, Dalton Schultz, and those short area targets could help them. Those rookies are intriguing. Jaden Higgins more so for me than Noel, but I just wanted to get you guys' take on it. Like I said, I'm expecting Stroud to be much better. He's going very late in drafts. I wouldn't mind scooping him up as my quarterback, just because quarterback is so deep, as we all know. You can get one specifically in one quarterback leagues. It's so loaded. You can pick him late and be fine with that. As long as Collins stays healthy, I think he'll be fine. But the offensive line issues and the lack of a running game may help. The offensive line issues will hurt him, but I think them having to rely more on the pass will have his numbers up there.
Jamie.
Bring up Aaron's comment.
Got it.
Texans passing game will be huge. That's my take. Love it, dude. They surrounded Stroud. Like Stroud had a huge rookie year, right? A little bit of a regression. Not a little, a lot of a regression second year. But they surrounded him this offseason with elite pass catchers. Christian Kirk, we all know what he could do in the slot. Higgins, I was high on Higgins going into the season before the NFL draft. I was even higher on Noel, and they ended up on the same team, so I had to lower them both. But I do love Noel for the future. Christian Kirk, if he gets hurt, put Noel on your radar. Stash Noel in Dynasty because I think Kirk only has a 1-year contract, and he'll step right in that role. Tank Dell is not going to be back, and when he does come back in 06, maybe he won't be healthy. He's not even going to be like 50% of what he was before the injury because he might not even play football again. Woody Marks, one of the best pass-catching running backs in this rookie class. He's also going to add a lot of value, and I've been grabbing him late in best balls. I don't recommend in seasonal leagues where you have to start someone because you're not going to know when to start them, but he could put up huge games at any given week. Nick Chubb, yeah, dusty old Nick Chubb. I do think he does make a comeback. I don't understand why the heck the Browns didn't re-sign him. The Browns brought in, 4 or 5 different running backs, and they let Nick Chubb go only $2.5 million. Like, what the heck are you thinking, Browns?
That's just bitter Browns fans.
Browns being the Browns, man. So we lost out on Nick Chubb. I was hoping he would retire with the team. But I see him being that goal line grinder and, 4 yards a carry. I think he could get back to 4+ yards a carry, man.
I will before I go. Sorry, I did say Nick Chubb was dusty, but respect to him, he still has a little bit left in the tank. I ain't gonna say he's completely done, but he still
also there's a high success rate with that overseas stem cell thing that they've been doing. So I'm kind of putting a little more faith in that.
All right. So before Rahul goes, this is not an official take. This is just me having to clear a couple things up. One, their offensive line is, what do I always say? Dumpster fire, hot garbage. And 2, did you jump into the hot tub time machine? You said 2006, not 2026. You said 06, not 26. All right, Roll, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys hit on everything I really want to cover. Just very curious how that O-line holds up, ranked 32nd, which is the lowest. Heading into the season, it is maybe if they've lost some names, but they changed the offensive coordinator, the O-line coach, and if we could even trend towards league average, even to 24th overall, that should be some improvement. But not optimistic on that. One thing I am very interested to see is in 2 wide receiver sets or 12 personnel, who the second wide receiver is going to be. I think it's going to be Christian Kirk to start the season, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jaden Higgins, with the kind of profile that he has, starts to get in there by week 8 or whatever their bye is. Last point, just want to touch on Nico Collins, who I do think has really an outside shot to be the wide receiver 1 this year. One thing with Nick Caley, the new offensive coordinator, coming over from the Rams, I do wonder if we can see a little bit more of those Puka kind of touches for Nico Collins, who, he's a big guy, he's a fast guy. You kind of think he's going to be that, downfield X, but he does have a surprising amount of work in with screens and design touches. And if you just add 1 or 2 more, you get him to 10 targets a game. I do really think the sky's the limit for Nico Collins, who one of my favorite players in the NFL. So quietly optimistic. It really all depends on that O-line, though.
All right, Take it away, Roll.
Yeah, so I think another split that we're really very interested to see is how the Broncos running backs spread out in week 1. We've got RJ Harvey, the 24-year-old rookie, not a great track record. Still did get the second-round draft capital that we do have to respect. But then a couple of weeks after the draft, so, this guy was just sitting on his couch waiting for the call up. J.K. Dobbins got signed by the Broncos. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out and who gets the high value touches in this backfield. One thing that's been very clear from whether it's from the beat or from the coach speak is that Dobbins seems to have the edge in pass pro. I don't think that's too crazy to say. Harvey being a rookie and Dobbins, a multi-year veteran who's genuinely good at pass protection. When you come into that Sean Payton kind of team, that scheme, he's going to put the guys that he trusts onto the field, and I think Dobbins is going to have the edge there. There will be enough passing work on first and second down. I'm not really worried if Harvey doesn't play third downs because that's actually been shown to be a little overrated for when you try to project RB fantasy points. One thing, though, that is important is who's going to get the 2-minute drill. That's when you see a lot of those, check dump offs, check downs, when, just trying to get the yards and get out of bounds. And that's where Dobbins could have the edge early on in the season. Now, they do have the Tennessee Titans in week 1. It could turn into a blowout. We could just get that RJ Harvey game to start off. But I am a little worried that the high-value touches are going to go over the way of J.K. Dobbins in week 1 and early on the season. So I'm curious as to what you guys think about that Broncos running back split.
All right, here we go. Let's do this thing. Just to let you know, Rahul, if you didn't see the private chat, this is the one I've been waiting for all freaking night. Jamie.
Yeah, I'm reading the private chat now because I didn't.
Okay, no. I have a couple questions for you because I know you. I have a couple questions for you because I know you're a rookie guru.
Yeah.
Can you please give me the age of Mr. RJ Harvey?
He's 24 point something.
Okay, and his rookie year is what year?
This year.
Which is 2025, correct?
Yep.
05.
J.K. Dobbins.
Yes, 05.
J.K. Dobbins is a year and a half older, and his rookie year was 2020.
Oh.
Okay, but you got to consider that COVID factor. We're starting to get into that end of the COVID factor season.
Let me cook.
That's why we're seeing a lot more older rookies.
That's not what this guy is because he couldn't play at first. But let me cook because Rahul brought it up. What is one thing that freaking jackass Sean Payton loves? Pass protection. Pass protection. He has to have his running backs who like to block, who can block. That's not RJ Harvey yet. Okay? I was out on RJ Harvey during the draft, right, Jamie? I was not an RJ Harvey guy, really, at all. Then they decided to bring J.K. Dobbins on, and I was like, okay, J.K. Dobbins has like a half a knee left. He might not even, I don't know. He's played for 4 teams in 4 years. He should have just stayed with freaking Harbaugh, one of the Harbaughs. Here's the thing. I agree with Rahul in the sense of, at least for the beginning of the year, I want nothing to do with RJ Harvey. This is J.K. Dobbins' job, in my opinion, to begin the year. But the problem is not J.K. Dobbins for RJ Harvey. The problem is it himself. Jordan's got the grin on his face. And this is a mini rant. Not the rant of the week, because that waits for the next week. But, boys, can you ever trust Sean Payton with the running back not named Alvin Kamara? Because I sure as heck can't. So for right now, I am out on the Denver Broncos backfield completely. The only person in the backfield that I want wears number 10 and gets the ball every snap. Other than that, I am out for now until I see proof. Jordan?
I'm going to disagree. I agree with your overall point that Sean Payton is a problem. Yes, he has been a problem, as I know from someone who lives in Louisiana. But his running backs provide fantasy value, though. So he'll play 5 of them. Maybe.
That's the problem.
He'll play 5 of them, but the backfield is valuable. So, we may see some Jaleel McLaughlin and some of the 2-minute drill situations like Rahul mentioned. That would be annoying. But I want to have a piece of the backfield. Will I be confident playing anybody yet? I got to see how it shakes out. But no matter what, whoever he chooses to give touches to, they're going to produce. And it's going to be more than one guy. We know that it's never going to be just one guy getting all the touches. So either one of them, both of them are going to produce to some extent. And I want a piece of that. I just can't feel confident starting RJ Harvard specifically right away. But I definitely still want to have him because I feel like Sean Payton's running backs put up points, and you're going to want that. The Broncos are going to be a good offense this year, better than last year, I imagine. So I want to have a piece of it. It's just frustrating because, like, Sean Payton is who he is.
I want to add one thing. So before the NFL draft, I had RJ Harvey as my rookie RB7 behind Dylan Sampson. Talent wise, like as soon as they got drafted to the Broncos, that's where he rose up. So you're taking a lesser quality back just because of the offense, which could supply fantasy points. I just don't like the talent compared to the other people in this class.
All right, quickly around the horn, answer this question. Jamie, you're first. We'll do it quick. Is Bo Nix underrated?
No, I think he's rated just right.
Jordan?
Yeah, he's rated just right now, but if he has a good season, he'll be overrated.
Roll.
Yeah. Don't want to repeat what y'all said. Rated just right. QB8 off the board. Wouldn't be shocked if he's QB8 at the end of the year.
All right. So if he, and I'm gonna go one step further than Jordan. I think he's right where he needs to be. I love him. I like the guy. But if he has a really good this year, we're gonna have the same argument on this show next year that we did with CJ Stroud after his rookie year. Period. Where I'm gonna say he's great, but people are gonna value him so high that you need to get rid of him while you can. All right, so let me make sure that I am okay. I do know what I'm talking about. All right, so there is a game that I want to talk about in general, but I don't want to talk about the entire game. I want to talk about 3 players in this game. However, there's only 2 players at this position on the field. So first off, real quick, I know I'm going to butcher the last name, so I'm just saying his first name. Tua. All right, this is the Miami Indy game. The reason I want to bring up Tua is this offense relies fully on Tua. This offense was built for speed. This offense was built with the wide receivers, with Waddle and with Tyreek Hill. If Tua goes out again, he is like done for his career probably, but more importantly, importantly for the team, their season can't survive without Tua. A chain can't survive without Tua. We might see a lot more Ollie Gordon because of the style of offense that they'll have to run without Tua, but more importantly, his health. And more importantly, I personally believe, and I'm not going to use this. Actually, I am going to save something for a little bit later in the show. Hint, hint. Wait for the cheat of the week. On the other side of the ball, he's left. On the other side of the ball, Daniel freaking Jones.
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Danny Two Nickels is still a quarterback in the league.
Danny Pennies, baby.
Hold on. I'm giving you your time later in the show. Let me have mine. Here we go. That's why you're not on this topic. I am interested to see what he does this week with 2 people. How he does with Tyler Warren and how he does with Josh Downs. Because I think Josh Downs is the biggest winner when it comes to him over AR. But the reason I said I wanted to talk about 3 players is because I still want to talk about Anthony Richardson because he is the wild card in all this. They didn't send him home like they did with Derek Carr. Sorry, Jordan, you auxiliary Saints fan. They didn't send him home. They haven't traded him. What will the leash be? We have no clue, but I am interested to see how he does overall. And because it's not Anthony Richardson, for right now, Jonathan Taylor, I absolutely adore. Jordan, take it away.
Yeah, I don't. We've reached a sad place when it doesn't matter who the other quarterback is. It's better for the receivers than Anthony Richardson. Like Daniel Jones is better for Josh Downs. This is a sad day, but I feel like it's kind of true. And so, I want to see how that turns out. I'm interested in Tyler Ward. He made like some big plays in preseason, like down the field. So, like, they need that his ability in the passing game. I'm interested to see how they use him more. Jonathan Taylor, a beast, as we know, but I believe Anthony Richardson will get his chance again. Whether that's because Daniel Jones gets injured or just because he's himself for long stints of time. So I would think he's gonna. I think when he gets his other chance, I think the Colts are out of whack for not giving him another opportunity to just play it out. Like he's been hurt a lot. He hasn't really had a full season consistency of starts under his belt because of those injuries. And like we know what Daniel Jones is. It's year what 6 or 7 for him. He's reached his ceiling, making the playoffs and losing to Minnesota. Like, or no, he beat Minnesota. He reached the playoff. He reached his peak at that point. Like, he's not going to get any better than that. We don't know what Anthony Richardson's peak is. I feel like he's going to get an opportunity. He needs another opportunity. But for now, week 1, and maybe the first 4 weeks of the season before Daniel Jones blows up the spot. I like Taylor. I like Downs, and I'm really intrigued by Tyler Warren as well.
All right, Rahul, why don't you give a quick take about this?
Mike, I want to congratulate you on picking the game with the most bad vibes surrounding the two teams. I simply cannot comprehend the amount of bad vibes here. I think both of you covered the indie side very well. I just want to highlight a tweet that I always think about from Josh Norris at Underdog. He said that no one in football has benefited more than Daniel Jones from not playing football for 9 months, because it's like, have we entered some kind of twilight zone and forgotten like who this guy is, right? But you guys said it all about the indie side. I just want to touch on, honestly, worse vibes with the Dolphins. Like, man, it's real stinky coming out of there. I think Tyreek Hill is someone I've been really hesitant on flicking all summer. I think the range of outcomes is Tyreek Hill has the widest range of outcomes for any player in fantasy football this year. We could be looking back at the end of the season being like, how was this guy available at pick 36? We could also be looking back like, damn, y'all clicked him at pick 36 this year, because it truly could be so wide. And I have a take a little bit later about how I see this Dolphins wide receiver split going on, so I'll save that for a bit. But man, I'm kind of hoping that Scott Hansen just skips this game entirely on Sunday.
I hope he doesn't skip it, because that proves that he's not letting ESPN ruin his life.
Yeah.
Real
Jamie,
quick, Lucas
what?
is on Facebook. He has a question.
I just said, Lucas, we will do your question later.
Okay.
Because I don't want to do it yet, because Roll has a take.
Well, he's on Facebook. He doesn't see the chat.
Oh, okay. So perfect. All right, Jamie, go ahead.
With what, the question?
Your next
or
one. Your next
my
one.
next one.
Yes.
What is my next one? Okay, I got it. I'll make this quick. Commanders running back committee, Washington's backfield. It's basically going to be a 3-man committee. It's going to be Eckler, Mr. Bill, Crosby Merritt, and Chris Rodriguez. Eckler will handle the passing down.
Depth chart today.
Depth charts we already talked about earlier. They don't matter.
I know, that's why I said it.
Eckler is going to handle the passing down work. So he's going to be that safe PPR floor. Crosby Merritt. I'm just going to call him Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill is the second option with upside. He's a rookie who could see more touches as the season goes on. And then we got Rodriguez, is just basically that short yard grinder, goal line back with touchdown upside, but like limited volume. So it looks like a situational split. Eckler in the passing script. Mr. Bill is the change of pace guy. And then Rodriguez, grinded out situations. So fancy take, Eckler in the flex, Mr. Bill as like that high upside RB3 or a stash. and Rodriguez is just gonna cap both those other two's upside and be a pain in the side of fantasy owners. That's it.
Yeah, I think Jamie, you said 3-man committee. I actually want to add two more men for one of my favorite fast food chains, Five Guys. Is y'all forgot about? You forgot? I'm sure you remembered, but I do want to say around the goal line, especially got Jaden Daniels. You've also got Debo Samuel. I think those are two guys that are in line to receive some rushing work right on the goal line. Make this even grosser of a split. I think you did lay it out perfectly where Eckler is probably going to be the easiest to start week on week. Bill is probably going to be that big upside swing, though. Man, I've been seeing some crazy. I think he wanted the 6'11" in the draft that I just went, so the 71st overall pick, and I'm like, I'm out at that price, but this is such a fun offense. It's projected near top 5 for points in 2025, and not getting a fantasy startable running back would be very disappointing to come out of it. So I don't know the answer. I'm very curious how it plays out. If you do have that last bench spot, if you're able to move a guy, onto your IR, if you're able to drop your kicker, although we're getting close to kickoff, maybe take that chance on Chris Rodriguez. As Jamie said, and as the coaching staff has said, he could be in line for a lot of the short yardage work, and he might end up being that guy that's like, 5 touches, 20 yards, 1 touchdown, and it just ruins it for everyone. So there could be something there. I just don't know who it is yet.
All right, Jordan, you're a Packers fan.
Yes.
So why are we talking about Skull?
Yeah. JJ McCarthy is someone that I'm interested in seeing this year. Obviously, it's rare that you get a first-round pick who misses the entire season at quarterback specifically, and then he comes in, has a boatload of weapons. But I anticipate the pass volume will be a little less than it was last year. Sam Darnold finished the season last year with I think the eighth most pass attempts in the league. I don't see them doing that with a rookie quarterback, despite Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson, now Adam Thielen's back home. Like even with all those weapons, I see the pass volume kind of declining a little bit. So then I wonder what that looks like for supporting all these guys that we like to draft. I'm starting to get lower on Hawkinson the more I think about it, just because I feel like, Addison will miss the first 3 games, so Hawkinson may eat in those 3 games, but long term in redraft, I'm not, for the price that you pay for him, I'm kind of taking other guys. But just looking at some of the numbers from last year, like when Hawkinson returned in week 9 from week 9 through 18, when Hawkinson returned, Jefferson had like a 27% target share, Addison 22, and Hawkinson 18. Darnold threw the ball 356 attempts. Well, it was like 35 attempts per game. I see them trying to keep McCarthy probably around 28, maybe somewhere around there, not too high. Their defense will be good enough to keep other teams' offense at bay, so they won't have to get in too many shootouts. I anticipate. So I'm just curious to see what you guys think about this pass volume. How do you guys kind of see the targets distributed? I know it'll change dramatically when Addison comes back from his suspension, but where do you guys kind of see the targets lining up? And is McCarthy, do you think he's going to be good enough to support all these guys?
Jamie, I know how you feel about JJ McCarthy, so take it away.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who is at quarterback. You could put anyone in this league besides Deshaun Watson, and they're going to be top 10. Addison, when he comes back, is going to be a value. I'm rising on Hawkinson. I just took him in a league yesterday, I believe. And JJ, it doesn't matter who's throwing Justin Jefferson the ball. He's going to get his. You got to remember, the Vikings, didn't they trade up to grab JJ McCarthy in the draft?
Yes, sir.
They wouldn't have done that unless they were going to make him the franchise guy. And obviously they brought in Sam Darnold. He is not that great. We hit on that earlier. He was a top 10 quarterback. So put JJ McCarthy, who is more talented, has drafted by the team, and he still has rushing upside. So I love the passing game. So I'm Rahul. You knew all summer long. I am going after JJ McCarthy in Dynasty. I love him. He could be a top 12 Dynasty asset, but where are we getting him? 15, 16, 17, even later? That's crazy. Upside.
Before Rahul goes, I know Jordan's expressions well enough to know that he really wants to say something. So rebuttal.
I just want to push back a little bit. This is a guy who went to Michigan playing for Jim Harbaugh and handed the ball off more times than I could imagine. And in the times when he did throw, he was not very accurate. And without playing at all last year, I'm not sure that has changed. And so I'm just worried a little bit about putting. I understand Josh Dobbs balled out in this offense.
Chris Mullins, Mullins.
Chris Mullins. Nick Mullins has balled out in this offense. I understand that, but I'm just a little worried about this dude hasn't played NFL quarterback before, and then the college quarterback backing that he did was a lot of hand in the offense for a team that ran the ball all the time. National champion, respect, but this is a totally different ball game, and I'm just wondering, it'll take some time, obviously, and I wonder how much time, if it's half the season, because a lot of guys take a long time to kind of get their feet under them, and he hasn't played at all at quarterback. We worry about tight ends catching their feet as rookies, and wide receivers take a few games. Quarterback, I just wonder if he may ruin the value of some of these guys.
Yeah, I feel like I split both of you on where I stand on JJ McCarthy. I think I do align with Jamie that maybe more than McCarthy, just the system seems to pump out fantasy starters at quarterback. But I think the interesting part of your point for me, Jordan, the volume of the Vikings passing offense, I do think there are a lot of signs that the volume itself, the raw volume available, is going to go down. And it's not just related to, the first-year starter at quarterback. I think a lot of the messaging from the Vikings actions kind of signal they do want to run the ball a little bit more. That's one area that this Kevin O'Connell offense has kind of struggled with is the run game, especially near the goal line. They went in strong, getting Jordan Mason, a revamped Aaron Jones contract, and 3 new interior offensive linemen all in one offseason. Kind of does signal a little bit more of that balanced split. So I can never fade Justin Jefferson. I'm propping this up on my Justin Jefferson gritty coffee mug right there. But I am fading the ancillary pieces. Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, I think it's a skill to be able to score touchdowns, but I think the number he scored over his first 2 years kind of point more towards regression. So I am fading those secondary pieces. Justin Jefferson still a strong first-round pick. He might lack a bit of those boom games, because Johnny Munt is going to pop in for a touchdown here and there and take it away from Jettas. But I do agree with you. Concerns about the amount of volume available. I think it'll be very interesting to watch. First Monday Night Football this season. Bears against the Vikings is going to be a good one.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of pass offenses, there's a connection that you want to talk about in the Old West, out in the desert. Go for it.
Man, this is one guy I have not clicked even a single time this offseason. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously coming in as that blue chip prospect, a 1-2 turn pick as a rookie. Man, what were we on last year? But seeing it play out, it's a little bit worrying for his future projection, even when you account for that second year step, even when you account for that prospect profile. Marvin Harrison Jr. just barely got any manufactured touches in that offense. He was just that X receiver expected to go, run those big boy routes and win one-on-one on the outside. Barely ran any in-breaking routes, just no manufactured touches like I just said. At the very same time, Kyler Murray, near league bottom on deep throws, on throws under pressure, throws over the middle. it just did not. It was not a conducive environment for fantasy scoring for Marvin Harrison, who had a decent rookie year, did not live up to the expectations. So what I'm really looking for this season is, will they make things easier for Marvin Harrison Jr. if, first snap of the game, it's a short screen, Marv gets 8 yards. It doesn't mean much, but it could mean a lot for how we project him moving forward. This is a guy that averaged less than 4 catches a game last year, which is really just ridiculous to say when we saw BTJ, Neighbors, Ladd all pop off as they did. And why I'm not really buying into it changing too much is they have one of the best tight ends in the league. They just gave Trey McBride the record contract for a tight end. This guy is a monster in short and intermediate areas in the middle of the field. I just don't see why they would move away from what McBride does best just to get Marv, more involved in that specific area. So Marv, he's kind of going as, wide receiver. I think underdog is like wide receiver 14. I understand you want to go for the ceiling there. Redraft ADP, it's between wide receiver 18 to 20. I have not even clicked him once because I am worried whether his role becomes a little bit more fantasy friendly in the Cardinals this year.
So they are going to need 4 touchdowns. I just want to start with, so McBride does not score touchdowns at all. He's never been a touchdown scorer his whole college career, even in the NFL, never scored more than 3 or maybe he topped 4 touchdowns in a season. Marv, I think he had 8 last year, and that was a down year for him. So I could see double-digit touchdowns from Marv. I could see if you give him 200 more yards, that's 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. We are drafting Marv at his ceiling. I agree with that. So that's why I haven't been drafting him much lately. But in Dynasty, now's the time to get him before he does blow up. Because what if he does go for 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns? Then we're all going to be looking silly. Like, we were drafting him this late, getting him at wide receiver 14 in Dynasty. Now he's a top 5 or 6 in Dynasty. So I would just go get him now. He's got the talent. He's got the bloodline. Just look at his dad. His dad had the same exact year in his rookie year that Marv did. And I'm not saying he's going to take that jump that his dad did because he doesn't have Peyton Manning throwing him the ball. But we all know Kyle, our co-host, loves Kyler Murray.
Kyler, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe Kyler does take a step forward because there is not a Call of Duty game coming out this year that I've heard of. So we'll see. I think Marvin Harrison will take that step forward, and we are going to be valuing him higher next year.
Marvin Harrison Jr.'s talent, bloodline, pedigree, all of that is not the problem. The problem is the 5'6" guy who can barely jump over the line. That's the problem. But the talent is there. I think him and Kyler will be more on the same page this year. I anticipate. And like Jamie said, McBride doesn't score touchdowns, so somebody else got to score them. James Conner has been good in the passing game. He's been holding up surprisingly. So that may continue. But yeah, I'm interested to see this connection. I haven't really pushed Marvin Harrison either this draft season. Just been kind of hesitant because I was so high on him last year. He disappointed and not much has changed, and I still don't trust Kyler. So, I've been hesitant. If he falls, I'll take, but he typically doesn't fall just because of who he is. So I just don't have a lot of shares of him. We've talked a bit about the one NFC North passing game and some of the weapons. And Mike, you want to talk about another team in the same division?
Oh, yes, I do. And they happen to be going against your team this week, right? But that has nothing to do with what I want to talk about, not your matchup per se. I want to bring up the offensive weapons in Detroit. More importantly, I want to bring up the receiving weapons in Detroit. They lose Ben Johnson. They lose their coordinator. Both coordinators are gone. But do I expect that to drop off too much with this offense? No. It's Dan Campbell. He was saying that I heard multiple coaches say that even the last couple of years when Ben Johnson started getting head coaching interviews and Aaron Glenn started getting head coaching interviews, he brought them both into the room and said, hey, start coaching up a couple of your assistants to maybe possibly take over the job. That's what they did. I think the guy calling the plays is Johnny Morton. Here's the thing. You got ARSB, Amon-Ra St. Brown at wide receiver 1, who's a freaking stud. I am all in on Jameson Williams this year. I think Jameson Williams is going to be a stud. Then you got, sorry, you played for the wrong city to be named after an electric car. But you got Isaac Tesla at WR3 because they went and traded Tim Patrick to a team that, for all we know, and I'm glad no one brought him up, could Tim Patrick at some point be Jacksonville's WR3 instead of Diami Brown? Just saying. But here's the thing. There's one passing weapon that I have not brought up. Sam frickin' Laporta. And you know why? Because I'm out. I am out. And I am shocked I'm saying this because last year I was all in. But with having Jameson Williams, with having a new play caller, still having Gibbs, who's going to get his touches out of the backfield, with having Monty being the battering ram that he is, I just don't think that I am willing to pay what it's going to cost me to get Laporta if I don't get one of those premium tight ends. You know, we all know who the top 3, 4, Kittle, Bowers, and then I'm including Kelsey in the sense of I still think he's got value a little bit further down. After that, I'm waiting. I'm waiting longer. Actually, Jamie's boy is one that I will definitely take, and that's David Njoku. But after that, I'm waiting, and I'd rather get a 2 or 3. So what do you, Jamie, what do you think Sam Laporta, and if you want to bring up the other guys?
Yeah, obviously, JMO, I've been drafting him in tons of leagues. I love getting St. Brown at the end of the first round. If he falls to the beginning of the second round, I'm smashing that all day. Laporta, I haven't drafted him once all offseason. And I draft over 200-300 leagues.
I know.
Best ball and all that. Never. I have 0% of Laporta just because I'm waiting. I don't want Laporta. I want that Bowers, McBride, or Kittle that you mentioned. If I don't get those, I'll wait and I'll get a Hockenson, Mark Andrews, and that's in that area Laporta's going in. But give me Njoku, give me a Kraft, give me a Kelsey later, give me an Engram. Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. I am out on Laporta. Even Gibbs, man. Gibbs is going to still be used a lot in that passing game, so I just can't get behind Laporta, man. I don't know. At his price.
All right, Rahul, really quick. Do you want to say anything about this and especially Kyle's comments? Kyle says, I wonder if Laporta gets more targets than Williams. And then he also says, new OC, maybe less design plays for JMO. Take it away.
Well, I got to say about Laporta is whenever I see someone else click him in the 6th round, I, do a little fist bump because that is not a guy I ever want to target in that, awesome range of wide receiver, 25 to 36, so many gems. There are a couple of Tony Pollard, my favorite running back value right now, Isaiah Pacheco. I just never, ever want to go the direction of Sam Laporta. I think Kyle makes some good points. And really, how is this offense going to shape up post the Ben Johnson era? A defense that's still a little bit shaky. I tend to think they're going to lean on the easy buttons. The easy buttons being Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. One guy, man, I hate to even say that I'm fading, but David Montgomery, I think if games are a little bit closer, if they're less run-heavy scripts, that's a guy that could take a bit of a step back. But, he still has that contingent upside where if anything happens to Gibbs, we're going to be ranking Monty as a top 5, top 10 running back week in, week out. But as far as Laporta goes, again, I feel like there's a common thread here. Not even clicked him once this offseason.
All right. So The laughs of the private chat, Rahul. You got to look at it because you'll get a gander. All right, so let's see where this pops up on. We have one thing we need to do before we get to the cheat of the week. We're at an hour and 20, so we're going to cheat of the week. We're going to go somewhat quick on this, but there is something that we need to do. I don't remember exactly where this pops up, so let's see where it pops up and who's going to be in charge this year. Jamie and Jordan. All right, here we go. So the show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Like Jamie said, if you've played best ball this offseason, there is a 55% chance that you have been in a league against Jamie. But other than best ball, they have pick'ems, higher and lowers throughout the season. I've already done a couple. I have a freebie sitting in my inbox for Saquon Barkley over 1.5 yards rushing. So go ahead. If you use the promo code capital GF2, like my shirt, you can get up to $1,000 match in bonus play. So go ahead, use the promo code, use it GF2, and get your bonus play. All right. So for the regular season, our cheat of the week is always waiver wire additions. Nothing has changed, but since nothing has happened yet, decided to change it up, and I regret it now that I see the show sheet. So we're going to go one at a time. So pick the one you want first, just in case you run out of time. So, Jamie, because of that, you know which one you're picking first, but I will set you up in a second.
Well, I want the other one better, but I'll start this one. So start your Colts, pass catchers, and Daniel Jones. Because Daniel Jones, he's stepping into that Colts offense, and while he's not that, Anthony Richardson throwing it deep down the field, attempt every game, hitting half of his targets, Danny Pennies brings consistency, giving Indy a better shot at actually winning week to week than Anthony Richardson does. So real life football, Anthony Richardson is someone you don't want. Danny Dimes is. For fantasy football, Danny Dimes is who we want because Jones loves those high percentage throws over the middle and in that short and intermediate area. We saw it with Evan Engram in 2019. 14 games, Jones gave him 109 targets, finishing as tight end 7 that year. Wandale last year, he was getting up to 10 to 14 targets a game. That means Tyler Warren, Josh Downs should thrive in this offense with Danny Dimes at the helm, while deep threats like Alec Pierce and Adonai Mitchell just take a backseat. They're going to be irrelevant. And don't forget Michael Pittman. He's not really a deep threat. He thrives in those contested catches situations and those intermediate routes. He'll get a fair share of his looks too. So this week against Miami's shaky defense, this week, I just want to keep saying this week, Jones is a sneaky top 10 quarterback in your super flex spot with his rushing upside adding to his floor. So start Danny Jones, start Josh Downs, and start Tyler Warren with confidence. And then if you have to, throw Pittman in there too. But looking forward, the next 2 weeks after this week, don't count on this take. It's just this week.
All right. So, sorry, Rahul. You're the old guy. You're the new guy. You got to let the old dogs go on this one. Jordan, really quick, what do you have to say about this guy saying that Danny Two Nichols is going to be a top 10 quarterback this week?
We've done this with Jamie already, so I'm not falling for it. I don't believe it. Top 10, though. I don't. Miami's defense is shaky, but Danny Two Nichols is shaky as well. So, I don't. Jonathan Taylor will have a great game, but that'll be probably the only person on that offense that has a great game. I don't see Daniel Jones finishing top 10. He'll be serviceable enough for them to have a chance to win the game, I think, just because, like Rahul said, Miami's vibes are off as well. So we'll see. It's just whoever put some plays together to score just enough points to win. I think the Colts will have a chance, but top 10, no, I don't see it.
All right, Jamie, you want to know what I think about those chances? Oh wait, are those pigs flying? Oh wait, that's right. They don't fly. It ain't happening. Could he be a top 15? I'm giving you that. But
Yeah.
he's not gonna be top
You
10.
said bold, dude.
I know. I'm just
Like,
never mind.
We gotta needle you, man.
We gotta needle you with Daniel Jones because I should have known when I put this out there that you were gonna put this kid. Okay, I'll be honest. He's not on your show sheet, and you didn't change in your show sheet, right? Can you confirm that? Jamie? Can you confirm that you did not change your show sheet?
I don't think I changed it.
Okay.
For this show,
I
I
am
don't know.
shocked that it doesn't say.
I don't know.
I am shocked that it doesn't say top 5 running back Roshan Johnson.
Well, he's got a foot injury, dude.
Oh, that's the only reason. That's the only reason why.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, take it away.
Oh, yeah. Drake May. So this is someone who could actually finish in the top 10 at quarterback.
Oh, you top 5, dude. Get bolder. Come on.
I said top 8. But so I think Drake May will light up the Raiders. I really like him. He has actually weapons he could count on this year with Diggs. Hunter Henry, he was good. He had a connection with Hunter Henry last year. Having Travion Henderson coming out of the backfield catching passes as well is going to help. And then May has their rushing floor as well. So I'm liking him against this Raiders team to finish in the top 8 for quarterbacks in week 1.
Yeah, I actually have him ranked at 13th. So when you said top 10, I'm like, that's not bold. So top 8, yeah, I guess I can see that.
Yeah, he put 8 on the show sheet. Rahul, I love Drake May. You guys already know that. He's better than mac and cheese, so I'm great.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. Rahul, do you have any quick comments about Drake May before you jump into yours?
I'm all in. One interesting stat from last season when Drake May did put up 400 yards, and I think basically 10 games because he played 12 and then left after 1 snap and 2. Barely did it on designed rushing attempts. It was all scrambles, and I think the coaching staff really talked about leaning into him in the designed run game. I think just what we saw from Drake May in college is he's kind of like Josh Allen's brain and Justin Herbert's body. He's just gonna pound the ball over the goal line. I think we're gonna see him get us a lot of fantasy points on the ground. So I'm completely with that take, Jordan. Man, I know we kind of hinted at one of my takes, but I kind of want to go with the other one because the Dolphins vibes are just so bad. I don't want to touch it again.
I'm touching it next.
All right, you go for it. But I think we've had a lot of great discussion on whether we should start some of our favorite rookies in week 1 or whether we shouldn't. We've been in lockstep. But one rookie I am very excited to start in week 1 is Tetairoa McMillan of the Carolina Panthers, the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. I think he hits the ground running with 10 targets, 100 yards, and a touchdown in week 1 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I saw this tweet the other day about there's people talking about Adam Thielen leaving really makes you want to draft Tet a little bit more. And other guys are like, why does Thielen leave have anything to do with it? I actually do see some additional upside because of this move. I just think that Thielen had the chance to sap away some of that underneath work, some of that short area targets. And I think we talk about him as this big-bodied X receiver, but I think a lot of his work in the slot, he's got his sneaky yak. I think he's just going to benefit, step into that role vacated by Adam Thielen. So I think his floor projection just moves a couple inches a little bit higher. I'm very high on Tet all season. I think he gets it going in week 1. And what should be, I think, a shootout. I think I'm higher on consensus on the Jaguars offense, same with the Panthers, and I think it's going to be a sneaky shootout of the week. And I think Tet's really going to benefit from it.
All right, I'm going to say one quick thing about this. I am really glad you said this, but this has nothing to do with Tet McMillan.
I know where this is going. Go ahead, bro.
Give me Bryce Young, baby! Let's go! Yes, let's go, Bryce Young! All right, Jamie, go.
Real quick, I just want to say, so Ted McMillan, Bryce Young. Bryce struggled on passes thrown for contested catches, right? Ted McMillan is amazing. Not 90+% of his catches from zone coverage. And then on man coverage, like I think he was at like a 50, 55. Last season, I think it got up to about a 61, 62% on man. But the opponent faces who are they facing again?
Jags.
Yeah. Okay. So the Jags, I think last year they had 65% man coverage. So that doesn't fare very well with what Ted McMillan's 50% catch rate on man. I love the guy. I love his talent. I hope the best for him. It just worries me, man. If he takes a step forward and actually can burn man at like 70+%, I think that'll help him in fantasy football.
It's a good point. I hadn't looked that deep, but good point to know.
All right, so here's my bold take, and it has nothing to do with week one. Jordan and Jamie always know I have one of these up my sleeve. But Jordan and Jamie, this isn't about a division winner. It's about something else. The Buffalo Bills. I know you guys are already laughing because I said Buffalo wasn't going to win the division last year. So, hey, that was my bold take that didn't pan out. However, Buffalo Bills, we know, are going to be number one in that division. But you know who's not going to be number two and not number three and have a brand new coach next year and blow up the team and get rid of 2 wide receivers next year and have a starting running back named Ollie Gordon? The Miami Dolphins are finishing behind the New York Jets. Like Rahul brought up earlier, they don't have a good defense. I think this defense, if it implodes early, McDaniel could be fired throughout in the middle of the year, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think he's on the hot seat. I do think that the Jets are going to have a little bit of a tick up. Yes, Fields might not be the best guy for NFL, like you said, Jamie, but here's the thing. They do have a good defense. Aaron Glenn is going to get that team playing the way Aaron Glenn wants them to, just like him and Dan Campbell did in Detroit, and he takes pride in it because he played for the Jets. Dolphins, I think, are going to be one of the disappointment teams of people just think the offense is going to be great because they put up the points or whatever. If this team falters at all, they are going to be last place in this division. Rahul, since I know you wanted to bring it up a little bit, if you want to talk about it, go ahead.
Yep. I think Jalen Waddle will be the most targeted Dolphins wide receiver in week one over the biggest villain of the offseason in Tyreek Hill. That's a little harsh. I won't go that far, but I think you alluded maybe 2 wide receivers are not on the team. I can guarantee that Tyreek Hill will not be a Miami Dolphin in 2026. I could even see a midseason trade. That could be fun to get into in a couple weeks' time. But I think Jalen Waddle, as a rookie, showed his ability to be that target earner. Over the last few years, he's been a little bit more of a boom bust deep threat, but I think he has a little more to this game. I wouldn't be shocked if they're like, you're the guy we want to build around. We can't trust Tyreek, who was not named a captain for his first year as a Dolphin, so completely out. I think Jalen Waddle will be the biggest beneficiary. Could all implode very, very soon, and we're not happy with any of them. But I think for week one, give me all the Waddle.
Rahul, you mentioned an in-season trade. Now, if he has some kind of an issue with the cops again, I could see the Browns trading for him because they love their felons.
Jordan, what's your next bold take?
I'm not touching that one.
No, don't.
This is just me being, a Packers fan. Josh Jacobs, top 3 finish, not really bold, but he dominated strong. He had 2 really good games against the Lions last year, one of which I think he had 13 carries for 95 yards, but the game got out of hand, so they didn't really continue to feed him. That could have been a bigger game. He scored 2 touchdowns in the later game of the season. I think he finished as like RB6 for that week. He's talked about in the offseason having some of those more explosive runs, like of 30, 40 yards. He didn't have any of those last year. He's looking to get back to that. Our offensive line, I feel like, is going to be solid enough for him to kind of see those creases and hit those holes. I think Detroit getting Aiden Hutchinson back and having those guys who they were missing with injury is good, but losing Aaron Glenn, when you lose a coordinator like that, I feel like it takes time to kind of adjust. And so we're catching them at a good time. And I think Jacobs will kind of have a big game as Jordan Love kind of still recovers from that thumb injury he has. They're going to rely on Jacobs, and I think he's going to deliver.
Jamie, what is your last bold take, senor? And I love it.
Okay, so Cedric Tillman. I talked about him last week on Fantasy Six Pack. I'm going to talk about him every single freaking week and when Joe Flacco's starting. Joe Flacco, he's under center for the Cleveland Browns. He loves slinging that ball downfield, and Tillman is the deep shot guy. He's big-bodied. He wins on contested catches, and he's perfect for those vertical routes. Now, if things shake out, he could easily outscore Jerry Jeudy this year, as long as Joe Flacco is quarterback. Tillman, he's only 25, and he's going into year 3. He's cheap. He's going outside the top 60 wide receivers. He can easily finish within the top 30 as long as Joe Flacco is quarterback. Jeudy struggles with those drops. We all know that. Jeudy drops. That's his nickname I gave him. While Tillman has a 90.6% true catch rate. That's a high floor. High upside. Like as long as Flacco is under center at quarterback. You see what I keep repeating, right? Flacco under quarterback. So my bold take is Tillman will double in value at the end of the season with Flacco as quarterback and be a wide receiver 3 starter week to week. Especially this week with the Bengals defense is one of the worst in the league. Do not sit Tillman. Go pick him up and start him. Bold take. Drop.
All right. So I'm not giving a second bold take, but I am asking everyone a question on this panel, and I don't care. This is my question. In week 10, what is the percentage that Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns?
Say about 14, 15%.
Yeah.
I was going to say 10. But
yeah, so we're close.
Yeah, 20. I mean, see, the thing is, Bengals, notoriously bad week 1 starters. I mean, they finally played Joe Burrow in the preseason, and for some reason they let him take sack after sack, like 30-yard like losses. Maybe they get off the blocks a little bit quicker, but what's a week 1 win for Joe Flacco? How much more time does that buy him? But yeah, week 10. Man, it's gonna be real stinky up in Cleveland.
The only reason I brought week 10 up is week 9 is their bye.
Yeah.
So that's the reason because if it doesn't happen earlier, like that would be the perfect time to do it. I was hoping they had an earlier bye so I could say, hey, what are the chances after week 5? But
so we all play in leagues with casuals.
Unfortunately,
when Tillman goes off and is a top 25, top 30 receiver, go trade him for like a Tony Pollard, like a starter. So I don't know who's going to be the starter at that time, but go trade him. Week 4,
I'm
week
not
5,
disagreeing with it.
6.
Yeah, before the demise of the quarterback situation.
Exactly.
All right. It's been a great show. It is time to get off. I know it's late where Jordan is. I know it's late where Jamie is. It might not be late where me and Rahul are, but I am starving Marvin, and I still got to get ready for another draft. So we'll throw it around the horn like we always do. So Rahul, start off the outros, baby.
Awesome show, guys, especially for my first one with this crew. I honestly just really love the pace that we kept going, the rebuttal, the conversations. I say this a lot with Jamie and Kyle, but again, just I love learning from different minds, from the way you guys see and approach the game. I think it only improves my game. Very excited for the 2025 NFL season. Very excited for fantasy football, even though we'll be in the trenches very soon and buy Mageddons. Very, very excited for this show on a weekly basis, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, the perfect first episode, and I am really looking forward to this.
I can't wait till next week when we get into the groove of our show. We get to see some games. Thursday starts it all off, so I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking with you guys next week.
Jamie.
Yeah, I can't wait. You know, I'm always here for the comic relief, make people laugh. So let's just keep it going all year long, baby.
I mean, is it real or fake, or is it comic relief? Is it the rant of the week? Is it doom or whatever it is? I don't even remember what they're all going to be.
We're gonna have some good segments coming
The
up.
segments
guys.
next week, we're changing up. We're doing like we did last week. You're going to have Monday Night Football takeaways. You're going to have the real or fake. You're going to have waiver wire. We're going to have the host choice. And by popular demand of two people on the far right of the screen, the rant of the week is returning. So you will see that next week. And it's funny that you brought up Bimageddon because there will be a PSA later in the freaking year, and that's a rant. But for Rahul, for Jordan, and for Jamie, I am Mike. Have a nice night, everybody, and peace out.